I'm your bass mechanic, mechanic.
Darling, who's A.D.E? Of course, I have my book Falling Up. I have my skincare line, Envy Luxury Exclusive. I have my podcast, Planet Rock Podcast. I'm doing a TV show on Afro TV called Point of View. It's like The View.
I want to ask you a question, um, and that is, with you growing up and being a woman, first being a girl, then becoming a woman, um, your life of living around men, growing up around men, and all the things that, because the men are the leaders, because they're more powerful, stronger, and you know they control everything. So you as a woman growing up watching this, seeing the people that are supposed to be your leaders, but they have done some very negative and bad things to you or women, girls, far as abuse, rape, mistreatment, just the whole nine. But being a woman and knowing that you are the weaker vessel and you cannot compete with a man with so many different things, how does that make you view the man? How does that make you view the man that in your mind is supposed to be the knight in shining armor, the man that leads and takes care of the woman and all of that, but you've seen all this other stuff like a lot of other women. How does that make you view the man?
Well, it makes me feel like what respect should he have? Doesn't seem like he deserves much because he's decided to lessen himself by doing things that he knows, we all know, is inappropriate and is not right, period. Just in humanity alone. And just being a man, I think like maybe when you're in school growing up, you're given this perspective of what a man should look like, how he should carry himself, what, how we're supposed to view him, because why? Because that's how he carries himself, the way we're to view him. And then when you see that that doesn't happen, it doesn't lend you much room to give respect. And you don't just get respect just because body parts. You get respect because of your character, who you are. And that it bothers me because for me, like, and I understand the I don't want to say the hierarchy, because I think man and woman walk together. We got to walk together, so we go in the same place that we can get along, right? But
Mhm.
but I know that a man has his role and a woman has her role, and it just seems like for the man to be the head, give me something to follow, give me something to respect, give me something that I can look at you and admire you. You want respect, you want love, well, give me something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I, me as a man growing up,
Hmm.
I would say I and I don't know how many guys can or would agree with me,
Hmm.
but growing up as a man, we or me,
Hmm.
looking at women, I looked at women. It's because they're different.
Right, right.
We don't necessarily look at women. Um, it's unfortunate because we were taught a lot in society. It was passed down that the woman is like lesser than us.
Right.
um because we know, even physically, growing up as little boys, we can dominate the girl. We're not to hurt the girl, we're to treat the girl, more delicate. We're to do all these different things.
Right.
And then what comes into play is now the other nature of being attracted to a girl, and this being my girl, and taking ownership of her, and all this. So a lot of this stuff comes into play, but the the human side of us,
Hmm.
where we start taking things for granted,
Hmm.
and and it's like, well, she can't really do anything, so combative against me, so I can do what I want, and I can take advantage of her, and she tends to love and care in a certain way. And as a man, we just we take it for granted, we abuse it, and we don't understand the feelings that women have. We don't understand how you guys think, because we don't think the same way, and we're not really educated on these matters to know, that you feel,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we really don't understand that, how you guys feel and how you guys think.
Yeah.
I was watching a movie that really hit me one time. It was some years ago,
Hmm.
and it was a girl, and she was like, and these guys, it was like, I don't know, it was in a strip club or what, but she was on a pole and she was dancing for him or what have you, but she wasn't like, this was like her first time or second time or something, and she
Okay.
was dancing for the guys, and then she was hanging out with the guys, and I don't know, they put something in her drink and got a little tipsy, and then I guess they might have, ran a train on her or something. And for some reason, I saw this in a whole different light, you
Hmm.
know, because it was showing her life, and it was showing, like she wasn't at home, she didn't have money, she didn't have a job, and she was trying to figure out what to do in life. Somebody told her, girl, it's easy to go and strip, and you can do this and make some money and take care of yourself. So I was seeing it from another side, another perspective,
Right.
that us as men, we don't see that struggle, and
Hmm.
why she was doing what she was doing, or thought she needed to do that.
Yeah.
And then how the guys abused her and mocked her, and thought it was just fun and entertainment. And I was like, wow, because truth be told, I've been those guys. You
Hmm.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So me looking at that, it really was heavy for me, and it really bothered me, because I
Mm-hmm.
was like, dang, like, wow, like, girls really go through a lot, and wondering like how they really feel about us men, because we have done so much to them. Now, granted, women today, they do a lot of foul things and crazy things, and all kind of stuff, but we as men are mainly responsible for a lot of that, I believe, because we have conditioned them
Yeah.
on how to be,
Yeah.
with our nasty and ugly behavior against them, when they were so loving and caring in the beginning. And we kind of made them bad. You know what I'm saying? So just that movie, when I seen that, it just made me just look at that situation totally different. And I had never imagined that in my mind. I never had thought that way. And it just, it just affected me like that. But that's why I wanted to ask you that question, how women feel, because you've been a girl,
Wow.
now you're a woman, and and you had to deal with this your whole life.
I don't know, because like, when I meet someone, well, first you always, I mean, you just been taught not to trust. You want to trust, but it's difficult. And like, especially if I would like talk about, let's say, dating, it's really hard because you don't know a person's intent. You don't know what's going on in their head. You only know what they're telling you, and you hope it's true, until they show you a different character, and then you hope you haven't spent too much time with them, that they show you something the opposite, and then you're like really let down and disappointed. But so many people have representatives, that they love to bring to the table, but that representative doesn't seem to stick around long. It's difficult because as a woman, you have to be like, you feel like you have to be harder. You have to be like tougher. You can't let anyone like penetrate the wall, because you don't know where that person is coming from, what they have going on in their mind. And like you're saying with that young woman, I mean, she's in a strip club, and some people would say, oh well, she was in a strip club, but it don't matter. Don't matter where she was. A man knows you don't touch that woman. A man knows you just don't do. Innately, you just don't do certain things. It's scary. It's a scary world dealing with men, and that they're out there, that they're like that, and yet you're still trying to get along, to have relationships, whether it's with work or it's a romantic relationship. Is difficult because you don't know where anybody's coming from, but they're out there, and you're always looking. You're trying to make sure, you're trying to cross the T's and dot the I's, making sure that what they say, can I hear what they're not saying? Can I, maybe this, maybe that. Like, you can't even trust anybody. You can't even relax to feel safe in a relationship.
That's what I could imagine in my mind, how difficult it could be for you guys.
It's difficult.
Because me thinking like, I mean, no, I cannot totally conceive what it is to be a woman, but just having an inclination of the thought process, like, wow, she has to go through so much. And I know men, because the majority of men, they do not understand. They have no idea, because we were raised a certain way, and the real conversations that need to be had were never had.
Right. I always say that if people would raise their sons to be husbands, and good husbands, and raise their daughters to be good wives, I think we could really get along a lot better, even in business and romantically. I really believe we could get along better, because now maybe you learned not to do that person, do them dirty. You have learned that this is how you should be as a husband, as a man to a woman, and vice versa. And we don't get those conversations. We don't get that lesson at all. Nobody teaches that. And I think we need to learn that from kids, how to take care of each other, how to be respectful of each other. Right away, those kids should start learning how to be that way. I really believe, but we're so on money. And look, money, I know, because I'm trying to get it every day, so I know it matters. But it's more to it. love matters, respect matters, care matters, all those things matter. And we have just become so focused on money and let me get what's mine, let me take it, that, where's the love? Why can't
And
we love?
and what you're saying, is right on point, because it needs to be something, instituted in our educational system.
I think so.
Some kind of way, when we have little kids, I'm talking about in kindergarten,
Mhm.
we need to have so many minutes out of the day to educate, because when you like you said, with the money and different things, but even with lawyer firms and big lawyer firms and what have you, they don't want nobody that's not married. They don't want a man that cheats on his wife.
Oh,
You
wow.
understand?
Yeah,
They
great
want,
problem.
yeah, you understand? Because they know that a married man, he knows about responsibility. He
Mm,
knows. So there's certain attributes that being in a relationship, and a proper relationship, and knowing how to conduct yourself and handle a relationship, make you successful, where
yes,
you can have all the money and whatever you need and want.
that's what I think. Yeah.
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 So it is a format that
Mhm.
is being used by certain conglomerates, and
Mm,
and
I had no
so,
idea.
yeah. So I think, like you're saying, it needs to be instituted, because that will help us all the way around, because we are two different species,
Yeah.
and we have to deal with each other,
Yeah.
and we need to learn how to deal with each other, so we can be better people
Yeah.
overall.
Overall, it will
So
totally make a difference.
yes,
How to
it's a
be
big
faithful,
deal.
how to be loyal, how to love, how to be honest, care.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. The
yeah.
community, our
Mhm.
community is like 36% in keeping marriages together. And everybody else has passed us. When it used to be, I heard it was like 80% of our community. Now it's 30, like 35 or something percent. And everybody else has escalated past us. The Indians are staying married longer. I think they're like at 80 or something percent. You have the
Mm,
Spanish is staying longer. Everybody else, and not us. Why not
wow.
us?
Well, again, I mean, we have to deal with all the truth. So I would say also, we were damaged goods by
That's true.
people who purposely damaged us and taught us how to
Purposely.
hate each other, how
Yes.
to, separate ourselves from each other, how
Yeah.
not to look to each other for dependence. Even the
Right.
government, said, don't have a man around and I'll take care of you. All that stuff was strategically done to
Hmm.
destroy the black family.
Yeah.
And destroying the black family made
Hmm.
us where we could not, build or
Right.
come up in a powerful way, which they feared. So that's why I believe we're the worst,
Mm.
because psychologically we had a real job done on us, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And it's
Uh,
passed down from generation to generation.
yes,
That trauma, because it was
yes,
trauma.
yes, major trauma
Well, I
that
think
we could.
like the Jewish kids have Hebrew school. Maybe we need to have some kind of school after school so our kids can learn how to grow up and be respectful of one another, how to be husbands, how to be wives, because I believe it makes you a better business person all the way around. For whatever you're going to do, it just makes you better. And I think that then maybe we'll be able to keep some marriages together, because I can't stand to not see us have good marriages, good ones that last. it's so hurtful. And when I do see
Yeah.
it, I'm like, I know people probably think I'm nuts, but when I do see it, oh, we've been married 30, 40, 50, 60. I'm like, oh my God, you need to teach a class. And I'm sure it hasn't been, it's been tough because, of course, you try to do things God's way. You better be certain Satan, the enemy's coming around. But
Yeah.
I just think that, man, it could be so much better for us. And given the history, because like you said, when people know you've been traumatized and that trauma has passed from generation to generation to generation, I think when kids learn that, I think they can really, I think they can start to relate to understanding that
Hmm.
and be able to, like, this is almost like re-educate them out of those mindsets. But of course, we still in this world. We don't want to be of it, but we still in it, and it's got its demons that are constantly, going
Yeah.
after whatever God institutes. So
Yeah.
yeah, we have
And
to fight.
that's why it's like I don't I don't necessarily see it being fixed, to be quite honest with you.
Oh
Um, because I mean it's sad, but you
no,
know, like you said with the word prophecy, things have to play out.
this is true.
And with that being true, it's not going to get right. You understand?
Yeah,
It's
that's
just,
real.
yeah, you know,
Prophecy, what it is. Yes, the
it's
truth. Yeah. Oh,
so,
if
so
we could just come up a little percentage, a little. Can we get to 45? 45. Let's take 45.
it sounds good and it would be a good thing, but
Too late.
it's not going to happen. I don't believe it's going to happen because like I said, I do believe in the word. I believe in scripture and I believe it to be true. I just look for man dumb self to show me when and how it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But
God would
scripture's
have to change
already
his heart.
exactly. And
Yeah,
he's not going to do that because his word already says how things have to go.
this is true.
So, but I wanted to give, the women, because it's like a woman, like I said, she could be laying in the bed and she says she's not feeling good, whether it's a time of the month or whatever it is. And she's like, baby, I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling bad. Um, and it's like, okay, baby, well, you want some tea or you want me to rub your feet or your stomach? It's not the fact that I can make her feel better,
Hmm.
but yeah, I can't stop the pain, should I say?
Right. Right.
But she can be heard. She
Yeah.
can you understand what I'm saying? It's
Yeah, I
like
do.
if the man could just say, well, okay, you know, I know how I am. I know
Hmm.
how I grew up. I know how other guys are.
Yeah.
So let me try and just, at least be an ear for her. Let her know I hear her, you
Yeah.
know?
That's a big deal
And
to be heard for sure.
okay.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that's what,
everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to be heard and know that, maybe like you say, I can't take away your pain, but I hear you. I
right.
can give you my attention. I can give you my care. I can
Yes.
give that to you because that's what I have to give. Whatever
Yeah.
you need me to do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost like, like from the word, right? And I learned
Hmm.
about, what a king, like how a king should look. And sometimes this guy, I'm a king, I'm a king. Man, please don't even
Hmm.
know the first thing about being no king.
Hmm.
A king is like, he is over, the people, but his concern is for the people. His heart is for the people. He's in a service position. How do I serve my people best? But then you get these leaders that mess that whole thought process up because they trying to serve themselves. But that's not a real king. A real king
Right.
is, how can I serve my people? How can I serve
Correct.
my wife, my kids, and so on? I mean, that's how it works. And like my pastor would always say, when something's broken in the home, that's the man's fault because he's not getting it under control. He's allowed something to get in, and that's his job. Protect the garden. Protect the
Yes.
garden. But then we kind of
Yes.
see how that go. But Jesus came and fixed it and told you how you supposed to treat the woman. How you supposed, like a woman treat the man, man treat the woman. What a king is.
Yes.
And but
Yes.
I don't know how you get that across to younger people, older generations, period. I don't know how you
Yeah.
get that across to people. Like, how do we serve the Lord and yet we don't want him to reign over us? And secondly, we don't want to do nothing he say.
Yeah. Well, we have to tell all these bosses to be a great boss, you have to be a servant first, a great servant, you
Right.
know, because in this aspect of the man and the woman,
Mm-hmm.
they say the woman mirrors the man. So
Mm,
whatever the man gives her, she
that's what she's
reflects
going
that
to.
back. Yeah.
Yes. That's good. Man, you need to tell a lot of men that. So if you don't like what that woman doing, that's because that's what you doing.
Yes. Yes.
They're not
Exactly.
gonna like that.
Exactly. Because men want women to serve them,
Yeah.
but to get a woman to properly serve you, you must serve her
Must
first.
serve first. Yeah. And they
Yeah.
don't like that. No.
No, no,
That
because
seems to
we're
go
taught,
along all the masculinity,
yes,
all the
because
manness.
yes, because our egos, we're
Yeah.
taught something totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't listen, I'm not good on this either, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a conditioning, it's a shifting
Yeah,
of mindsets.
it is.
And that's why it is, if we need to implement this at very extremely young ages,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know. Yeah, I would say, around 6 years old.
I was gonna
You
say six.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I would
Yep.
say 6 years old, we need to be taught
Yes.
seriously.
Serious.
This needs to be like we're teaching ABCs,
Yeah.
because this is important for
Mm-hmm.
the ABCs.
Right.
You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? Because once this should be first.
It should be.
This
Yes.
Yes, this should be first, how we deal with each other as
Yeah.
men and women.
Yeah.
And that will shape everything else after that
I
on
think
what,
so.
yes, most definitely.
Well, they
You
say
know,
teach a child in the way they should go, and they won't, deter from that.
that's right.
Maybe they go, but they'll come back. They
That's
will,
right.
because it's in them. It's been ingrained in them to do it,
That's right.
and we really need that.
We
I would really love
do.
to see that for
We
our
do.
community.
If we could do something like that, and have it online, and parents could, okay, well, you got to get your 10 minutes of, life lesson,
Yeah,
because they're on the computers and all that. But
right,
this could be something, that will change generations, 10, 20 years from now,
for
you know.
sure. Apart, we have to find reasons to come back together, to bond together, to stay together. And it can't be that the money. It has to be something deeper than that. But if we don't want to give any loyalty, no honesty, no faithfulness, then I mean, we just not gonna have it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we need to be taught from the beginning.